So many men today fear being rejected purely because of high natural physical attributes and looks. And that fear has a name. It's called immutable trait anxiety. And it affects millions of men, particularly those that expose themselves to online content like dating apps, internet content, pornography, and hours of social media content. And in the last video, I discussed what it is and why it happens. And today, I want to talk about how to solve it. Now, in the first step, we got to stop feeding the loop. The central problem is endless confrontation with other men that are presented as superior and outstanding, or present themselves as superior and outstanding. So the first thing you gotta do is detox. Stop consuming content that seems to prove your inferiority to you. Stop using the internet for hours, stop watching porn, stop endless scrolling on social media, and if you can't let go right away, try to do it in small steps until you finally can. And typical Blackpill content only exacerbates the problem. So like face rating videos, hide doom threads, what do women really want, rage bait stuff, all of that stuff. Just let it go. Because the thing is, you think that you're researching, but what you're actually doing is you're performing anxiety rituals. You're trying to calm your fears down. And these rituals, they don't heal insecurity. They just train it to become stronger, so you're only making the problem more severe. Now, in the second step, try to accept reality and try to accept yourself. The goal is not that you are perfect. The goal is to say, yes, I have limitations, but these limitations are not my entire identity. Identity is comprised of many things. And that's a way stronger frame. In the third step, you want to move self-worth out of the body. Because if all of your worth comes from attractiveness, you are psychologically fragile. Because there will always be someone who's taller, richer, stronger, more desired. It's an endless cycle. It's an endless loop that you are trying to accomplish with this type of thinking and behavior. So what you need is more pillars: building competence, building friendships, emotional control, work ethic, humor. You can build presence and communication, and you can overall build a life that does not collapse in the second that someone is in some field or category in any way superior to you and harms your fragile self-worth with that. Now, in the fourth step, you need to expose yourself to the real world. Now, a lot of men respond to shame by disappearing. They avoid photos, they avoid flirting, they avoid social events, and some people avoid being seen entirely and become isolated. But that avoidance teaches your brain that these are dangerous situations, so the loop only gets stronger. So what you have to do is do the opposite gradually. You go outside, you expose yourself to the real world, you talk to people, you do a little bit of subtle flirting, even it's insecure. Do these things insecure and slightly anxious and just push yourself a little. Not too much, so the discomfort becomes too great, and not too little, so you fall into avoidance again. If you're being rejected for something, don't turn it into proof that your life is over and everything's over. Just accept it, move on, and stay on course, all right? The fifth and final step is that you do not master immutable trait anxiety by becoming the most attractive man in the room, because this game does never end. You master this when comparison stops being your personal god. Because the better question is not how genetically valuable you are, it is what can I build with my body, mind, and the life that I actually have, and with the skills that I have or that I can develop. And that's not coping. That's actually the opposite of coping. That's agency. That's taking responsibility for your own life and taking care of yourself. That's believing that your actions actually matter. Because immutable trait anxiety is not just the fear of being unattractive. It's the feeling and the fear that your life and the course of your life is no longer in your own hands and that you're completely powerless. And that's why black pill thinking is so psychologically addictive, because it totally relies on determinism. It relies on the idea that everything is predetermined. Genetics, height, bone structure, or just pure luck. And the thing is that if everything is predetermined, that can actually feel relieving, because it seems like you no longer have to take action. You can tell yourself a story where you don't have to risk rejection or failure, embarrassment, uncertainty. But there is a huge hidden cost to this, because in the moment you surrender your agency and responsibility for yourself and taking action, that's also the moment your nervous system starts treating life as a prison and you feel helpless and powerless. And this prolonged helplessness can actually start to destroy your psyche and pull you down massively. And that is why agency matters so much. It's not, I can become anyone, I can be anything. That's just pure fantasy, all right? It's that your actions still matter despite your limitations. And if you start believing that your actions matter, you can actually start taking risks again. You take action again. You develop new skills. You start to socialize. You build friendships. Yeah? You become more emotionally resilient and you actually create momentum. And momentum is something that has a so much bigger impact than any form of self-analysis ever will have on your life. Because in the end, the men who escape this mindset are usually not the men with perfect genetics. They are the men who stop treating themselves like broken products and objects and actually start treating themselves like human beings again.